A financial lifeline this Tuesday night for Canada's softwood lumber industry in the face of U.S. tariffs.
America is in effect charging for access to its economy.
Growing wildfires threatening parts of Newfoundland and Labrador. The suspicions people are fueling the flames. Israel's possible plan to seize control of Gaza. Who could stop it from becoming a reality? Willful ignorance and arrogance. The scathing new report blaming Oceangate's CEO for the Titan submersible disaster. Plus, acing it.
She's so solid mentally.
The latest teenage Canadian tennis phenom making a racket.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Nitu Garcha.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. We're hearing from Prime Minister Mark Carney for the first time since the U.S. increased tariffs on Canadian goods. The August 1st deadline imposed by President Donald Trump has come and gone with no sign of a trade deal and no word from the federal government of any plans to retaliate. But Carney is preparing financial supports for some industries hit hard by the levies. Mackenzie Gray has our top story tonight.
It's the Liberals' lifeline for one of BC's biggest sectors.
The forest industry is a pillar of the Canadian economy.
That pillar getting $1.2 billion in loans and grants to aid struggling forestry companies diversify markets and retrain laid-off workers. Just one of many industries rocked by tariffs.
The U.S. is in the process of fundamentally changing all of its trading relationships. In a series of recent agreements, America is in effect charging for access to its economy.
That access getting even more expensive for Canadian softwood in late July, when the U.S. jacked duties to 27%.
It is important that we get this resolved to resolve that uncertainty that's looming over the sector right now.
The Prime Minister's press conference, his first since Donald Trump increased Canadian tariffs on non-free trade goods to 35%. Carney wouldn't say if Canada would retaliate, instead opening the door to dropping tariffs.
We look at what we can do for our industry that's most effective. In some cases, that will be to remove tariffs.
Elbows up. Elbows up.
From elbows up to easing up. A major shift from Mark Carney, whose election message was promising to fight Donald Trump. The Prime Minister also listing the 2026 renegotiation of the Canada-US-Mexico free trade deal as a reason why Canada didn't hit back. That agreement, a topic as the Finance and Foreign Affairs Minister met with the Mexican president, who, unlike Canada, got a pause on tariff increases from the White House.
Ensuring that we have a process in place for CUSMA is also extremely important.
One of Carney's key talking points, Neethu, that the vast majority of Canadian businesses aren't hit by tariffs. And a new report from RBC backs that up, showing that 92% of Canadian goods sent to the U.S. in July entered tariff-free.
Okay, Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thanks, Mackenzie. More and more people are being told to leave their homes in Newfoundland's Avalon Peninsula because of multiple wildfires. Officials say some structures have been lost to flames. There have been more than 190 fires in the province this season, compared to 58 this time last year, and a provincial burn ban is now back in place for at least a month. Heidi Petracek reports.
Lita Mae Button took this video not knowing if her home survived the flames from this wildfire after already experiencing another major fire in May.
I just hope everything's intact. I already have been in contact with some of my close neighbors that I have. They've lost their home.
Her community of Broad Cove and others along Conception Bay are under evacuation order, while others are on alert. This fire tripled in size overnight, and the Premier confirms roughly half a dozen homes were lost.
We can replace homes, we can repair buildings, but we can't replace loss of life. So the most important thing, of course, is for everybody to stay safe.
Many residents believe some of the blame lies with people.
Some neighbors have been putting out fires that they found coming across on ATV trails.
I know people like to sit around and have a backyard fire, or, you know, it's a part of our culture, but I'm telling people just for the remainder of the season and for the safety of everyone, have a beverage with your barbecue.
At the same time, a separate wildfire is being fought across the bay.
We've never had to evacuate our home before. It's kind of scary, quite frightening for sure, and
just, praying that our house wouldn't burn to the ground.
We got lots of these trays.
As volunteers help evacuees, the mayor is urging everyone to heed the burn ban in a region that's tinder dry.
Imagine if we had to deal with another one today, or another one tonight, or another one tomorrow. That's the problem.
Possibly 10 or 12 days, dry, sunny conditions. It's going to lead to a worsening of the fire risk across the entire region, all of Atlantic Canada.
The lack of rain prompting Nova Scotia to step up restrictions.
We're focusing on the things that are within our control.
On top of its open fire ban, the province is prohibiting hiking, camping, fishing, and vehicle use in the woods until October, or face a fine of $25,000.
And for those who don't respect it, we'll fine them, and we'll fine them.
The battle is intense back in parts of Newfoundland and Labrador. Late in the day, yet another wildfire prompted the province to advise cabin owners in central Newfoundland, Martin Lake and Great Rattling Brook to leave immediately. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Halifax.
There are wildfire fights happening across parts of Western Canada, too. On Vancouver Island, the fire near Cameron Lake has grown to more than 500 hectares. Nearly 400 homes are under an evacuation order, but cooler temperatures and some light rain are helping firefighters on the front lines. And in northern Manitoba, emergency crews are fending off fires near the communities of Snow Lake, Leaf Rapids, and Thompson, while Nisitchewayasik Cree Nation has paused its wildfire evacuation due to favorable winds.
I've never seen that.
I've never seen that.
Some residents in Alberta captured this dramatic footage of a twister touching down near the town of Hardisty on Sunday. Environment Canada has confirmed a landspout tornado in the area and multiple funnel clouds across the province. It was classified as an EF0 by the Northern Tornadoes Project, reaching wind speeds up to 115 kilometers per hour. Divisions are reportedly deepening inside Israel's war cabinet as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu pushes for a plan to take full control of Gaza. Israeli media says tensions have risen between Netanyahu and Israel's own military chief over the prospect of Israeli forces fully occupying the enclave. Redmond Shannon reports on the proposed plan and the growing calls both inside Israel and abroad to halt the war.
This has become the daily dangerous routine just inside Gaza's southern border. This man says he's come to this spot for food every day for 2 weeks and always leaves with nothing. Israel says it will soon allow some commercial food shipments to resume alongside the aid.
While we have had some come in, it remains far insufficient to the needs.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met with security officials Tuesday as reports say he wants troops to take control of and occupy 100% of Gaza. Afterwards, Netanyahu's office said the Israeli Defense Forces are prepared to carry out any decision made by the Security Cabinet. That after reports the IDF's Chief of Staff, Eyal Zamir, opposes Netanyahu's plan. He wouldn't be alone. 600 former Israeli security officials now say Hamas no longer poses a strategic threat. They appealed to US President Donald Trump to help end the war to free Israeli hostages.
It seems to me like that actually Netanyahu, to a large extent, has cornered himself.
This former Israeli intelligence official says there is a widespread belief in Israel that Netanyahu has been prolonging the war to appease extremists in his cabinet so that he can prolong his career, and that he and his allies in cabinet may push ahead unless Trump stops him.
Deep down inside, maybe they are looking for something like that will help them to, in a way, to get off the hook.
Tonight, Israeli media report that Netanyahu's security cabinet will convene on Thursday to discuss the plan. Neetu?
All right, Redmond Shannon in London. Thanks, Redmond. Families of victims of the October 7 Hamas attacks are reportedly suing Meta, accusing the tech giant of enabling Hamas's atrocities to be live-streamed and shared widely on Facebook and Instagram. The billion-dollar lawsuit, said to be filed in Tel Aviv, alleges Meta failed to activate its monitoring systems, letting footage of murders, abductions, and hostage pleas remain online for hours. Plaintiffs claim the platforms became part of the terror, violating Meta's own rules. Meta responded, saying it designated Hamas as a terrorist group and still has teams working around the clock to remove such content. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton and former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton are among a number of high-profile people to be subpoenaed to testify about sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The House Oversight Committee issued subpoenas today to the Clintons and 8 former law enforcement officials. It's part of a congressional probe into possible connections between Epstein and top officials, including President Donald Trump. Trump has denied prior knowledge of Epstein's crimes. Epstein died by suicide in jail in 2019 while awaiting trial for sex trafficking charges. UN-led talks are underway in Geneva to try and secure a global treaty to end plastic pollution. The 10-day meeting involves delegates from some 180 countries, including Canada. At issue is whether to cut plastic production and phase out single-use products. Powerful oil-producing countries oppose it. They say recycling and reusing can solve the problem. Others say that's not enough.
We are facing a global crisis. Plastic pollution is damaging ecosystems, polluting our oceans and rivers, threatening biodiversity, harming human health, and unfairly impacting the most vulnerable.
If agreed to, a treaty would be legally binding and include targets. Millions of metric tons of plastic waste enter aquatic ecosystems every year. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development says plastic production is set to triple by 2060 if there's no intervention. Flash flooding swamped homes, roads, and shops in a village in northern India today. The surging mud and debris rushed down a mountainside, killing at least 4 people. 100 others are missing. The military says a large-scale search and rescue operation is underway. The government says the flooding was caused by a sudden and intense onslaught of rain. It was one failure after another. Coming up, the U.S. Coast Guard's scathing report into the deadly Titan submersible disaster. Plus, fiery fireworks festival, how a celebration quickly turned into chaos. And potential turbulence. Air Canada's flight attendants take a strike vote. Scary scenes in Japan where a fireworks display quickly turned into a disaster. 2 barges caught on fire off the coast of Yokohama on Monday. Dozens of fireworks went off uncontrolled. 5 workers on board one of the barges were rescued after jumping into the sea. 1 person was hospitalized. The fireworks show was canceled and the cause of the fire is being investigated. The U.S. Coast Guard has released its final report into the deadly Titan submersible disaster. 5 people died in 2023 on a trip to see the wreckage of the Titanic, including the company's CEO. The Coast Guard convened its highest level of investigation and found Oceangate prioritized its own goals and finances over safety, ignoring warnings from both industry experts and internal staff. Jackson Prosco reports on the findings.
Everything that happened to the Titan and the 5 men on board was preventable, according to the U.S. Coast Guard. The final report into the implosion of the submersible blamed parent company Oceangate for using intimidation tactics and exploiting regulatory confusion. It criticized Oceangate's CEO, Stockton Rush, who piloted the doomed mission, for creating a get-it-done mentality that undermined safety.
This was a concern within the industry because we saw that they were bypassing some very, very small things, and that just showed a direction.
I told them I'm not getting in it.
The report came after hearings involving more than 24 witnesses, including Tony Nissen, Oceangate's former engineering director, who found cracks in the hull and was ultimately fired.
Once they asked me to sign off on the idea that they're going to put passengers and go to the Titanic, and told them no.
The Coast Guard found a clear pattern of disregarding safety concerns, especially with Titan's carbon fiber hull, which ultimately failed.
So all of our test program has been about incremental testing.
Rush had claimed his design was too innovative to be bogged down by safety certifications. High-paying customers were called mission specialists to sidestep regulations for paying passengers.
We are all proud people. We all believe in what we know. But we do know there's a line that gets crossed when it goes from conviction to delusion.
While the search for the crew went on for days, the implosion happened 2 hours after Titan began its descent to the wreckage of the Titanic. On board Oceangate's support ship, the crew reported hearing a bang before contact with Titan was lost. It took another 7 hours before Oceangate phoned the Canadian Coast Guard, yet one more failure on the mission to the depths of the Atlantic. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
It's getting very crowded, and we think that something needs to be done.
Ahead, the downside of an increase of visitors to Canadian tourist hotspots. With summer in full swing, many people are enjoying the best Canada has to offer, and it's shaping up to be a banner year for the tourism sector. Lots of Canadians are choosing to spend their vacations here at home. The Canada Strong Pass launched in June and means admission to national parks is free this summer. But as Heather Urex West reports, for some destinations, the spike in visitors may be too much of a good thing.
This was Waterton Lakes National Park on August 1st of last year. When fire closed Jasper, the southern Alberta park saw tourist numbers drop as well. A year later, things have changed.
Sunday of the August long weekend typically is our biggest day of the year, and it definitely showed it. It was packed in this park.
The park was so busy over the long weekend, it reached maximum capacity. For several hours Sunday, visitors were turned away. Other national parks are feeling the pressure too.
We have seen exceedances of the capacity in the park on several weekends, which unfortunately turns into a situation where we have to close the gates to the park.
Elk Island National Park east of Edmonton offers serene camping and a chance to spot a bison or two. But the big draw this year has definitely been the price of admission. Free until September 2nd. But while the Canada Strong Pass has brought more visitors, it's brought new challenges as well.
For example, just wildlife harassment, littering, a lot more than what we've ever seen before.
Even in popular parks like Banff, used to dealing with large crowds, the congestion has some visitors growing weary.
The worst was Lake Louise. And can I say this? Mm-hmm. It was spectacular, but my goodness, did you get in there and get parked?
What we will focus on is making sure that we are driving travel responsibly to try to reduce congestion issues.
But Destination Canada says interest in Canadian tourist spots is hitting levels not seen before. Not just from locals, but international tourists too.
We're seeing from certain markets, certain overseas markets, for example, that forward bookings are up 19%.
A good news story for the industry, with advice to would-be visitors to maybe avoid the weekend crowds. Heather Urex West, Global News, Calgary.
Disruptions could soon be coming for travelers flying with Air Canada. The union representing 10,000 flight attendants says a strike mandate vote received more than 99% support. It says key issues such as pay, unpaid work, and pension security remain unresolved. Workers could be in a legal strike position as soon as August 16th. Victoria Emboko's meteoric rise. Next, could we be watching Canada's next tennis superstar? Victoria Emboko is electrifying Canadian tennis fans, racking up upsets and charging into her first Women's Tennis Association semifinal at the National Bank Open at just 18 years old. After upsetting the world's #2 and outlasting a string of veterans, Emboko is now set to face a Wimbledon champion on Wednesday as her run continues under the bright lights of Montreal. Eric Sorensen breaks down her meteoric rise and what the future could hold for the teenage phenom.
Another match against a higher-ranked opponent, and Victoria Emboko is unfazed.
In the spotlight, she's the only Canadian, male or female, still in the country's biggest tennis tournament. And just 18, she looks like she can't quite believe the run she's on.
To have such an achievement at a tournament like this is really a milestone for me, and I'm just so happy that I've got to have this whole experience in Montreal.
Every match is a new experience for the teenager. On the weekend against the world number 2, Coco Gauff had no answers for Emboko, whose power and poise are beyond her years.
I think she believes in herself. Every time she enters on the court is for win, so that's important.
Jeannie Bouchard is now an analyst on Sportsnet.
To get to the later stages of a Grand Slam, you need weapons, and she has that serve, she has that power with her shots, she has that aggressive game style.
Emboko began the year ranked 333rd in women's tennis. By June, she had cracked the top 100, and with her success in Montreal is projected to move into the top 50, even higher if she wins again. Born in the U.S., Mboko's family moved to Toronto. Pierre Lamarche trained her older sisters. He saw a determination in Victoria when she started playing at age 4.
She just hated losing. I think she hated losing more than winning. She's so solid mentally that I think that's one of her greatest gifts.
Emboko joins other young tennis stars who've put Canada on the world stage in the last decade, a golden era that Jeannie Bouchard helped to launch. She's just retired. Her advice to Emboko, the next star under intense scrutiny?
To really not listen too much to the noise around. Right now it's very positive, of course, but if she does, become a really good player and then ends up having some losses, as we all do, because we're all human, it can turn negative, and you just don't want to, pay any attention to that.
Mboko's biggest test yet comes Wednesday in the National Bank Open semifinals against former Wimbledon champ Elena Rybakina. But the headliner this week is the 18-year-old Canadian. Eric Sorensen, Global News, Toronto.
Player to keep an eye on. That is Global National for this Tuesday. I'm Neetu Garcha. Tonight's Your Canada showcases Prince George, BC, Atwood, Ontario, and Carbonear, Newfoundland and Labrador. Keep them coming. Send your pictures of Canadian pride to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching and have a great night.